I'm Andrea, I'm Italian. I'm an editor at MIT Technology Review Brazil. I was the Chief Digital Officer at L'Oreal, and I was also the head of Tinder in Latin America. And although some of you might be more interested in Tinder tips rather than the topic today, personalization and how we can better use data to improve customer experience, I wanted to welcome on stage our panelists. To start off with Jackie Morales. Jackie Morales is the Senior VP and COO of Security Benefit, a leader in the US retirement industry, driving innovation and business transformation. A round of applause for Jackie. Please take your seat. Big fan base, eh, Jackie? Then we have Brent Williams, CEO, President, and founder of Benekiva, a platform transforming the life claims and servicing experience. Brent, please come on stage. Good to have you. And then we have Effi Fuks-Leichtag, Chief Product Officer at Next Insurance, offering instant and flexible coverage for small businesses and the self-employed. Effi, please come on stage. Big round of applause, guys. Thank you so much for being here. And to start off, Effi, you guys at Next had a big announcement today. Congratulations. Would you like to share a little bit about it?
Thank you. We didn't rehearse this, but
True.
yeah, we signed a strategic. We had two announcements. Yesterday, we announced 500,000 customers on our platform, small businesses that we empower. But today, we announced a strategic partnership with Allianz and Allstate. A part of this partnership is a wonderful product and distribution partnership that we're going to do together, and also a round of funding of $265 million, which is great these days. So,
congrats, guys.
Congrats.
Very good. It's always good to start off with that great news. I wanted to start off the conversation now, actually going a little bit around the room and starting off with Jackie and hearing from each one of you. Basically, based on your position and on the business that you do, how does, again, personalization and data play a pivotal role in improving the customer experience? Just having an overview, and then we'll get more into detail. Feel free, Jackie, to start off.
Great, absolutely. Well, again, I'm Jackie Morales with Security Benefit Life, and what's so great about working for a company in the retirement business is you are in a business where people have the opportunity to use your products while they're alive, and you get to interact with your clients and your distribution partners in a way, and you're totally focused on one goal, helping people to and through retirement. I think that we work in a very noble industry, and one of the goals that we should always have, and specifically in my line of business, is allowing people to retire with dignity. And so as we think about the tools, what data can do for us, the customer experience, it all has to be focused about what is the problem that you're solving, what is the challenge that the customer has, and how can you allow them to solve those problems and meet those challenges in a relevant manner in a world where you're compared to the Amazons and the banks for ease of use. And so I'm in the center of that as a Chief Operating Officer, looking to enhance both the experience of our customers and our distribution partners in a rapidly changing world.
Amazing, Jackie. Brent?
Yeah, I think the data plays a lot of roles in our industry across multiple value chains. At Benekiva, we focus on claims, intake to payout, everything in between. And one person's claims experience may want to be completely different than another claims person's experience. So it's meeting the beneficiary or the policyholder where they're at and giving them the experience that they expect. While we talk about the Amazon type claims experience and compare to Amazon from an experience perspective, the reality is there are certain individuals who don't like that experience. So you have to be able to meet the beneficiary or policyholders where they're at. Some will want the old traditional way. My grandfather, right? He wants to sign the paper, right? So we have to provide that experience for him. But yet, my brothers and sisters, they want to click a button, click another button, and be done. So we have to be able to know and understand, based on the data, of how certain individuals want to do these processes, and then tailor that process to that specific individual.
And definitely imagine Gen Zers now and our sons and so on. So rapidly changing customer expectations and behaviors, right? And Effi?
Yeah, I'll take what was said before, even to a more extreme. At Next, we made the decision when we started the company to be a fully digital end-to-end fully verticalize insurance, which is a very difficult task, especially when you bring brilliant experts from the industry and they tell you, oh, why do you want to just use this vendor and that's it, and you can just go outsource this or outsource that. And I can't say it was my decision. I kind of inherited that philosophy from our founders who said everything that's important, you got to build a house, you got to own the data, you got to hire the people, as you heard, we need a little money to run. But it's actually working quite successfully, because then when you get into personalization today, I don't know, we do direct distribution for small businesses, probably the biggest one in the world. And the way we do it is we can target the exact keyword that lands the exact customers that we mapped using our own team, on data science team, that identify them through all the databases in the US, that lands them on the landing page. That is not just, I don't know, restaurants or a specific CRB. We get down to the most granular level. Then we take them to a funnel that was built for that particular customers, that knows their names, that scrape their online presence, that writes them, that underwrites them, and then the servicing, then the claims. And once you have this entire stack by yourself, which is a difficult task, just to be clear, it gives you such an enormous power with benefiting those customers. You know them, you can predict their behavior, you can cross-sell effectively, you can treat claims, not waiting for some vendor or someone to give you a CSV or some sort of a file. And I think gives you a ton of power. And going back to your brothers and sisters or your father, we made a decision. We're going for the ones who want the digital experience. When I see a negative customer review saying, I would like to meet you guys in person. I'm okay. It's once I need, like, we got the wrong customer. But I think most of our happy customers are the ones saying, oh my God, I treat it like my Netflix account, my Google account, my whatever you can, my Amazon account. Well, I want to click a button. I want to get a wonderful tailored insurance for myself. I want it to be affordable, and I want to be able to use it 24/7 through my app. And that's our vision. And I think that gives us the power to personalize and customize the experience for every individual who wants that experience. And not to dismiss also my dad, who wants to meet the agent and get coffee and flowers for the holidays.
It's about choices, right? We cannot always please everyone. And I wanted to dig deeper, Brent, into the insurance claims part. You guys work at the intersection of that. And so I wanted to better understand, how do you see technology improving the customer experience? And first of all, is the insurance claim area already doing very well? Do you think it really does fulfill customers' expectations, or what can be done better through technology?
Yeah, I think when you talk about digitization or digitizing the claims process, there's this notion that everybody wants to digitize everything. And I think that's okay for certain types of claims. There are certain types of claims that you should run through a straight-through process without any human element. But then there's this thought process of humanomation, right? Where do we inject the human into the certain portions of the claim process? And I think the important thing there is knowing when the right time for those human injections are. The thought process when we built Benekiva was actually when I did the research, that was one of the things I got wrong. I actually felt that claim staff would actually look at our platform as job replacement. Yet every single carrier that's installed Benekiva, not one single carrier has gotten rid of claim staff. And so we went back and surveyed the claim staff that were using the platform. I asked a question, and I was honest. I said, I really thought you would be the one that wouldn't want us, but you were the one that actually engaged the platform even more. And why is that? And they said, Brent, you don't understand. You took all the tasks off of my plate that I didn't want to do anyway. Now I can spend more time giving that empathetic service or giving that consultative guidance through this claim process, because every claim is a different type of experience. A death claim is a much different experience than a disability claim. And so those experiences are different.
That's super important, because again, when we look at the power of personalization, it's something that makes also insurance products more tangible. And that's why I wanted to pivot to something that Jackie, you mentioned to me during our initial call. It was, you have this view where personalization is really a competitive advantage in the insurance industry, exactly because of the fact that insurance is so intangible, that personalization makes it personal, right? And so it brings closer the insurer to the end customer. Can you better elaborate on that? Because I think it's very important for us to understand exactly why personalization is so important and why it is the topic of this panel.
Right. As I tell my staff over and over again, we don't sell automobiles or refrigerators. We solve problems. We make promises. And these are long-term commitments to clients. These are things they may not engage with 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now. And so we are taking a journey with them. Because it is an intangible product, we have to keep reinforcing and reassuring our clients and our distribution partners that we've done the right thing and that we care about them and that we're watching over. For us, it's the investment they've made into an annuity or other retirement vehicles, and to say, you trusted us at the beginning, you can trust us now, you can trust us in the future. And so creating that personalization allows them to self-service if they like, or they can engage with their agent, do business, or they can contact us directly to help them through the questions or the challenges that they have. And it's about making sure you're there when they need you. And there are going to be moments of truth in their life that they're going to want to have that reassurance and know that we're continually evolving, continually watching over their investments with us, those investments in those retirement vehicles, and that they made a right, strong, and smart decision.
Thanks, Jackie. By the way, feel free to actually scan the QR code here. Whomever has a question to any of the panelists, feel free. I'm going to be checking here through Slido, but you'll be free to send over your questions. I wanted, Effi, to ask you something. When you described what you guys do at Next, it reminded me of a concept, like a concept of a one-stop shop. And you'll tell me in a moment whether you consider yourself as one-stop shop or not, but it definitely brings about an advantage, which is the frequency of touch points you have with your customers, the more data you collect, and therefore you're able to basically map out better your customer, understand him or her better. How do you see the importance of having so many data points? And it does really help you, not only in personalization, but overall to improve customer experience, and how does it work?
Sure, great question. I think there's two answers to the beginning of your question and then the data part. If you look at traditional companies who sell for small businesses, or I don't know how others, I don't come from the insurance industry before, it's usually by line of businesses, right? You have a general liability team, a professional liability team, worker compensation, etc. And we were somewhat organized like that for a long while. And our CEO, founder guy said, we're selling insurance for plumbers, for restaurants, for retail, for all of those, what we call now segments. Now, when you interview the customer, and remember, we're selling a lot through agents, but more around a third of our business is direct to those customers. They don't know what's inland marine. I didn't know until recently, but they need it. And they don't know the difference between general liability and professional liability. So we really need to dumb it down to a point that someone feels comfortable and convenient to buy it. So what we do, we actually shadow the businesses, my product managers, the insurance professionals. Last year, we focused on restaurants, a big success. We went to restaurants and saw their day and how do they speak and what do they think, and we interviewed them about insurance. So, it's all this guy. All those statements that sometimes end customers don't necessarily appreciate, and you try to understand what is the root thing they need. And then we build packages, and our packages are written for the restaurant owner or for the food truck person, or we get really granular, and then we understand which lines do we need. The professional liability line should have these exclusions, those limits, because that's what they care about. Food spoilage is a big deal. This is a big deal. And then we change the insurance filing itself. We change the experience itself. The designers, the marketers package it together, and we call it restaurant insurance. Or we call it, insurance for handyman. And that creates such a huge level of convenience, first and foremost, for the end customers, but we discover that agents also like it, and definitely partners that we work with. And that mindset of take everything you need, and the insurance is one component, how you sell it, how you distribute it, how you speak about it, how do you service it, is so key to have a fully integrated team to do that. That's the first part. The second part of your question is the data. We start collecting our data from the moment our ads are being blasted all across all the channels on the internet, the TikToks and the Instagrams and the affiliates. And we use common, tech company practices like, affiliates gives us pixels, etc. And we start building what we call a graph of prospects. So whenever someone is ready to buy, whether they came eventually through an agent, a partner, or directly to us, we know a lot about those customers. We also have a large database of data that is public about those customers when they buy, right? A lot of them are on Breast and other places. So we can use all of this data to give them a streamlined experience. In many cases, we skip a ton of questions that a regular agent needs to fill the forms because we feel convenient and we take the risk so we can make smart decisions. Two, we use a lot of data like a lot of other carriers. Like I think we have, north of 30 data sources that we run in real time in different cases when we want to know about the customers. And lastly, this data continues, and there's something quite nuanced in business insurance. Well, service is a big deal of it. Like they need the COI, they need the changes, they call all the time. This is a relationship that is quite active. And I think knowing that when they come, so the app is seamlessly logged in, the claim, we know who they are. Everything sits together, allows us to give a very quick response on the spot and not wait, a department to a department because some data needs to move between different teams. So I think the data gives us, I would say, the entire idea of a one-stop shop that is highly tailored to a segment throughout the life cycle of the customer, because we really want to keep them, not just sell insurance to them. It's really important for us, and I think that's kind of gives us that benefit.
Definitely, and this though, let's say the customer of Next or overall of any of the products that you guys sell, I get a concern. Let's say the more that I know that you guys collect data by itself, I think, okay, what about my privacy? And so that's a concern. And I wanted to hear, well, both Brent and Jackie, you work with very sensitive data, both retirement data, claims data. I wanted to get both of your perspective on how can we better strike a balance between privacy and improving personalization. There are researchers that show that actually in case we collect a lot of data and we do not personalize the experience, it's not just a neutral experience for the customer. It is a negative one. Why? Because they create an expectation of personalization in exchange. So starting from Brent and then Jackie, I wanted to get a better understanding of how do you see this balance between the two things, privacy and personalization, with data in between being the, the element in between.
Yeah, I think for us, it's a collaborative effort. It's a collaborative effort with our clients, with our carrier clients, and knowing and understanding what their security and data architectures and protocols and procedures are, and then taking a collaborative effort of, okay, if we can take HIPAA data or PII data out of the equation, is there relevant data in the overall claims or servicing process that could be leveraged and provide insights back to that business? I would argue that there definitely is. So the collaborative effort is working with the carriers to know and understand if we were to take this non-PII or HIPAA type data and put it in a way, run it through models, their models or external models, or bring external data into the model and run this and give that data back to the carrier, is there value? Can you now make better decisions on who your customers what customers you want, who they are currently today? You may find out that, like to your point, you got the wrong customer here and there, and that's going to happen. But I think it's more important to be able to find out and identify that we've hit the wrong client, as opposed to still continuing down that path and just gathering more of the wrong client.
As a carrier, we have an interesting obligation, and one that we all take very seriously. We have to protect our clients.
Yep.
We have to protect their information. We have to protect their money. And there's two things that go into that. We all know about bad people out there that are trying to either hack you, ransom you, do all of those things that every one of us read about every day. We have to be so diligent around what we're doing to anticipate the next move that these people are professionally skilled at doing bad things. I wish people did good things instead of bad things. Their energy would be so better used. But as we do that, we have to realize that in some situations, we may make it a little bit more difficult for someone to access information, but we need to know who we're talking to. We need to know that when a service request comes in or a withdrawal request comes in, that we're dealing with the client who trusted us from the very beginning. We gather so much information from people at a point in time where they're making that decision. We have such an obligation to do that, and I am so happy that our company takes that serious in a way that we are continually looking for new tools, new technologies, new partners that we can work with in protection of that trusted relationship. And so we want to make sure that we use data smartly, but that we always treat it as a cherished resource and something that we've been entrusted to protect.
Definitely, and you've been so many years in the market, definitely. This is what has happened. A question from the audience came in, and I wanted to see who would like to take it. Do you believe value-add benefits, such as estate assist legal plans, enhance your life insured customer experience? Would anyone want to take this? Brent?
Yeah, prior to Benekiva, founding Benekiva, I was an investment financial advisor and built my practice to a substantial advisory practice of about 300 million assets under management. And that's where I learned that claims is a customer experience issue. But from an advisor perspective, it's not about selling this policy or that policy. It's about selling the protection of the individual, or in many cases, the family. And that includes multiple different types of products. And so that's why I believe from an advisor perspective, if I take my InsurTech hat off and put my advisor hat back on, we wanted those new products, right? Carriers are often, I've got to get 5 new products out this year. And part of the reason for that is the distribution, the advisors, or however you distribute that product. They're wanting more arrows in their quiver, so to speak. You know, example, when life insurance came out with the long-term care riders, well, guess what that meant? I can sell this policy that already includes that versus trying to sell them 2 separate policies, because now it's 2 separate sales cycles and processes where I can basically kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So I think adding those extra features is definitely a must from a planning perspective.
Yeah, and I think from estate planning, people's lives are a mosaic. They have all kinds of different needs. And we work in such a great industry that there are so many different people who can provide those different needs. But when an advisor is sitting down with that client and piecing together that beautiful picture, it's about what am I doing to create that capability for our client, but also to protect those that they care about so much at the end of the day. Because when you're doing estate planning, that means you eventually know you're not going to be there. And who are you protecting them? How are you protecting them? And how are they going to understand your plan at the end of the day? So it's hugely important.
In terms of customer retention, that was the question, right?
Yeah.
2 years ago, I think, we acquired a company called heightened that I hope everyone knows, and we integrated them into Next, calling the product Next Connect, kind of introducing the magic of Next being fully digital with the distribution of heightened. And we have a product called Pay As You Go. And Pay As You Go essentially takes your payroll and writes workers' comp according to the payroll, which allows customers not to have waste, not to overspend, underspend. And one of the things we discovered the moment we made it really Next Connect and made it digital is customers stayed longer, not only with us, but actually with the payroll provider. Like if you're on Intuit or Gusto or Square or all of the partners we have and more are coming, those companies see us as a part of their retention because the customer really enjoys not being audited at the end of the year and going through this very, very meticulous and uncomfortable moment. And they wanted to stay with us because what is personalization? It's like I want to pay what I should pay in the most accurate increments, which in our case, it's every payroll, 1 week, 2 weeks. I don't want to overspend. I don't want to underspend. Small businesses, you know, the cash flow is especially these days, right? It's so critical. And you don't want to get a refund at the end of the year. You want to get the money tomorrow. And it's convenient. And they don't have time for this. And then what happens is agents who are not our payroll providers called us and said, how do I get this pay-as-you-go thing? Because my customers are asking for it because they had it. So I think that gave us a lot of power in the market because customer retention is eventually the value they get. Of course, there's a lot into like the relationship and service and being a good carrier, but I think the moment you have a technological advancement that allows customers to be fully covered, appropriately covered, and spend accordingly, That's the best way of retention. People want to feel the value, which is hard to prove in insurance, right? Like it's really hard because you kind of try to explain to customers the actual behind of your actions and why did you increase our rate. So these kind of things in personalization, literally changing it every 2 weeks, they add, remove an employee, and we adjust automatically, has been proven to be profound for us and really successful in terms of customer satisfaction, partner happiness, and of course, financially for us. So that's an example I can give.
And building on this, Effi, actually, because you at Next are a digitally native company, of course, you deal and work with the latest technologies. I wanted to get your perspective on which technologies do you see and foresee reshaping the whole industry. Of course, we might speak about AI, which is the most obvious one, but maybe VR, or the kind of like mixed reality, or any other technology that you foresee as being very, very important in order to improve the customer experience?
I had a bet that every time I'll hear the word AI in this convention, I'll take a shot. It's 9 a.m. I'm still walking. I'm still walking. So I'll say large language models. I'm not going to say AI. I think large language model, God, it's videotape. I think in 2 years, this room is going to be very different. And I'm willing to stand behind my words. I think insurance, eventually the outcome is a lot of text, and it's the logic behind the text. It's the documents, the policies, the claims journal, the interactions with our customers. I see a lot of those people here in the crowd from my team. We've bet, I would say, 10 to 20% of our entire R&D team on, I would say, close to 4 or 5 initiatives in that space. I think as an advice to people who like hear about it, okay, what does it mean? It means get your data in shape. Without good data, we have a sentence I told to Rob, who's in the crowd, be a good historian. Because LLM is all about reading the books and generating remarkable outputs. If it's customer service, if it's understanding policies, if it's understanding the competition, if it's realizing everything that's happening, it's all of the claims journals summarized and digested to structured data so you can make remarkable actuary, so we can lower the price so more people can enjoy this wonderful common good called insurance. I think LLM is going to revolutionize this industry because when you think about all of the hype around large language models, GPT and AI, it needs a ton of text, it needs to make it organized, and then the output needs to be something that is on value. Now, a spam machine that writes email and whatever, that's nice or not, I don't know, it's debatable, the White House is dealing with it. But insurance is definitely going to benefit from this. Remarkably, it's going to allow us to provide wonderful claim experience, better actuary, better rates, and I think it's around the corner. I think all the exploration we've done in this field so far, all of the prototyping has shown, mostly blew our minds, not only us, the people who are more technical, but actually I would say our leadership in claims and servicing and underwriting are just like asking for more, which is hard to satisfy. And the technology is moving super fast. Like every time we finish prototype, a new model comes out, we try it again, and it's just moving. All the financial incentives are there. So that is my opinion.
Brent?
Yeah, I would say, we've heard it now a couple times that you need a lot more data in order to make these things better and better. When we look at our process, yeah, we collect claims data at the time of claim. But we recently did a partnership here recently with Swiss Re where we can ingest their claims data into our claims process. So the thought process behind a partnership like that is they can take 125 or 50 years of past claims data. We pair that with current claims data. And when you add the two together, you get what I call a 1 + 1 = 3 scenario, to where we're taking their past claims data, looping it into the claims process to drive workflow and decisioning and risk scoring, and then taking our data that we're collecting as part of this process, and at the end, we can route that back to that engine. So over time, that engine's getting better and better and better. Our engines internally are getting better and better and better because we can take some of the data that we're looping into the process and actually run operations a lot better and train our models even better. So over time, I would argue that the partnership will allow, for lack of a better term, rising tides raise all boats, right? So in that scenario, I think it's a great use case of 1 + 1 = 3.
Very nice. And getting back to the AI buzzword, it's impressive in the first 20 minutes of the discussion, we haven't mentioned it once. So I think we've set a record. No other panel out there for sure. Eh?
Good job.
The first minute, good job, guys. But jokes aside, we've got 5 minutes. Number of questions coming in from the audience. Feel free to share yours. We'll try to answer all of them if we manage to. But first of all, a question came in. Do any of you have metrics showing improvements in CX comparing the before and after effects of implementing the personalization aspects of the customer relationship? Any data to share or maybe even qualitative impressions? But
yeah, I'll do it from the carrier perspective. We're working with our BPO partner, and a lot of the work that we're doing is trying to measure transactional activity, how much the call center is seeing volumes dropping. We're starting to do NPS scoring to see if customers are engaging around changes in technology. So in the early days, what we're trying to do is create that foundation. Is the quality good? Is the accuracy there? Is the speed of ease of doing business moving us in a new direction? And so having those benchmark capabilities, doing the NPS scoring, talking to your agents, talking to your clients, and finding out the number of transactions, how quickly your cycle times are improving, all of that's going to be where these kind of AI, take a shot, is going to ease the job of doing the repetitive work, make us smarter about how we engage with our clients so that we know where to focus our attention. You can focus your attention in all directions and move nothing forward. What this kind of data and personalization thing is hearing what your customer says, because data helps people make better decisions in a people business, and that's what we're trying to do.
I would caveat or add on to that. When we look at the future, we've always said from day one, Benekiva will be a successful company doing claims and servicing. But the real benefit for Benekiva comes down the road when we can take a claim, which is typically an expense on the balance sheet, and turn that into a new revenue opportunity or a new policyholder or client for these carriers, because we have the data. We're connected to the multiple policy admin systems, so we can actually prove that if you provide that Amazon type claims experience to those who want that type of claims experience, and you give them that click-through ease of doing business, and then down the road pair that with some marketing to these beneficiaries or people going through claimants in our case. Now, when they become a client later on down the road, we know that because it comes in as a new policyholder on the policy admin.
And what is that statistic? About 2% of all people who take a claim become a new customer. So talk about the hardest thing to do is prospect for clients. They're right there. If you treat them well and then you give them the good advice and the good experience, they're going to come back to you because you kept the promise.
Yeah.
You made it something at the worst time of their life, whether it's a loss in the P&C space or a loss of life. It's a very stressful time. How are you making yourself relevant to them and saying to them, you can trust me because your parent or your spouse trusted me too?
100%. Yeah, that's in my opinion, that's the holy grail. When you can take that claim and turn that into revenue generation opportunity. You mentioned it, that in our industry, when a claim, I'll just talk strictly death claims. When a death claim is processed, industry-wide, less than 2% of those assets come back into the organization. And think about that for a second. Where are the assets going? The check is in the mail, it gets deposited at Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo advisor reaches out and then sells them policies to all of your competitors. Whereas I would argue, if you would have gave them the experience that they desire in the first place, you have the opportunity, not the guarantee, but the opportunity to turn that beneficiary into a policyholder themselves.
And actually, we've got another question that I think builds on this. So still, Brent, I think it's towards you. The question is how to use AI to enable claims initiations and follow up to collect data. For example, through a conversational AI experience in app or text. Can you briefly touch upon that?
Yeah, I think you definitely could loop AI into the claims process or really any process. I think, there was 5 years ago, there was all talk about blockchain, blockchain, blockchain. And now it's all talk about AI, AI, AI. And I'll say this now, what I said even then, any technology that comes along is not gonna just automatically change an industry. I think it's about finding the specific use cases where the technology can add true value, test those use cases. If the test proves to be valid, then do more of it. If it doesn't prove to be valid, maybe that's not the technology for that specific use case. So again, I think we're in this era now with AI. It could be argued that AI can fix everything, but there's also a counter argument that, okay, then you lose the human element, right? So I think it's about finding that specific use case, test the use case out. If it works, great, do more of it. If it doesn't, move on to the next use case.
Thank you. And we're running out of time, so I just wanted to wrap it up with a very, very specific question to each one of you. We'll go around, starting from Effi, which is, let's look at the future, try to predict it. It's very hard. But even in a 5 years time span, if you had one prediction to make about your specific area, about your specific business, in what will happen that will be improving customer experience, something that maybe we think, well, that's not really likely to happen. A lot of people, don't believe that will happen, but you do. One prediction, 5 years, what will happen in your specific area?
I'll talk about business insurance because I don't think I'm smart enough to know the other fields of. I think that companies who are born in the last few years and the next few years, and they're born into the digital era and the AI, and the first hires they'll have are a few really good insurance experts and good data and engineers, will make an Amazon-like experience where you buy insurance online the same way you buy your TV today even. You'll be delivered instantly. You're going to have all of your services, all the service will have zero human touch, literally zero, not 1%, zero human touch. The only thing you're going to get from humans is consultation by really smart, empathetic people that can give you an advice. That would be 1% of the cases. Claims, most of it will be digital. The coverage determination, the losses, people will be out of the loop completely in terms of consideration, but they will still be there. They will be there because they are the escalation path. We are still creative, we are still smart, we are still needed. I think we'll be able to do way more, and all of the processes of pushing paper left and right will be gone, and that will be the reality for those companies. I don't know if those companies will be the majority. Insurance is an industry that, for a good reason, moves slow in terms of those disruptions, which is a good thing because it needs to be secure, it needs to be safe, it needs to be regulated. But I do think the companies that will be born in this era will build something completely noble and new, and I'm excited to see that future.
Thank you.
Boy, I've been saying this ever since I started, or prior to starting Benekiva, founding Benekiva. From a claims perspective, I truly believe that we will get to a point where a claim is initiated, processed, delivered, paid in the bank account without a person even having to touch a button on their phone. I believe that we will get to a point to where the claim is just instantaneously, automatically paid based on rules, roles, data, all of those things. We're a little ways off from that. I get it because I've got this big BHAG thing, but a lot of people say, what do you believe will be the success of Benekiva? And I answer it the same way ever since day one. To me, success of Benekiva is when a person receives a benefit from a policy that they had no clue was even coming. That is game changing in the industry.
For me, in 5 years, I want to make sure that the people that we deal with and the people who choose to do business with us know that we are a trusted partner who will give them the ultimate choice. They will choose how they wish to engage, and we will be able to address whatever level of engagement they need to have. We will meet them where they are at on social media. We will meet them where they're at a technology expectation level, and that we will never, ever forget the role that we play in their successful future. And that would make me extreme, and I would have happy employees, because at the end of the day, as I've said before, this is not a tangible business. What we do, how we care, What we give back to those who choose to do business with us is everything. It's a people serving people business.
Amazing discussion, everyone. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, everyone in the audience,
you, Andrea.
for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you.